Hey everybody, I just wanted to run through some of the movements that I use to warm up before my squat, bench, and deadlift. I want to start with ankle mobility. Start at the bottom, work our way up. So we're going to start with ankles and then go into torso mobility, T-spine rotations and things like that, and then we'll do extensors and flexors in the hands and forearms. So I'm going to start with voodoo floss. This is like the very first thing I do when I get to the gym is voodoo floss my ankles and start with my ankle mobility. So I usually start at the midfoot, make one good revolution, and then tight. You want to pull with some good tension. So I'm just working my way around the ankle, just past the joint, and then back down, and create a little tab. So it's easy to pull off afterwards, if I could get it on. There we go. Okay, there's one. Then same thing, start at the midfoot. If you go too tight on these, you're gonna hate yourself. So with tension, but not cutting off complete circulation. So just up past the ankle joint, and then back down. Around the foot, and that's about where I tie it off. That one was way better. Okay, so then I start my movements. So first thing I do is walk on my heels. So just walking forward, trying to take steps, keeping my toes up. And I'll walk pretty much down the distance of the turf and back. And then I'll come back with on my toes. So standing on my toes, like a ballerina, just trying to make pointed. Oh, some snaps and crackles are gonna happen. Good. So about there, same thing, about the length of the turf, several steps. And then I'm gonna move side to side ankles, so I'm just gonna kind of pivot, going this way. And I usually go about 10 times. And then same thing back, and trying to gain a little bit of more range of motion as I go, up on my toes, back down onto my heels. Good. And then from there, before I take my voodoo floss off, I usually do a couple of low hops to a soft box. So nothing that's gonna create a lot of impact, but something that I can, is kind of a workable height, nothing obnoxious, just enough to get my body primed and ready to move fast and be explosive off the floor. I really like these because it mimics the hinging pattern really well in the jump. So warming me up for deadlift. I also like it for squats because it's a great movement for transition from eccentric to concentric in the squat. So good priming motion all the way around. So I'm gonna come over here and just make 3 jumps, landing as soft as possible. And this is a good way to warm up my hip flexors, my ability to absorb my velocity, control my body, and just overall warm it up and wake it up and get ready to move something heavy. Okay. We're gonna move on to mobilizing upper body, and there's just a couple of movements that I like to do just to liberate everything through my scapula and traps. And it's good old-fashioned cat-camel or cat-cow, whatever you wanna call it, and then a little bit of threading the needle. So on all fours, and from here, I'm gonna round everything in my spine from my tailbone all the way to my chin. So I'm going to tuck my chin, tuck my tailbone, and then do the absolute opposite and unwind everything and let everything sink the other direction. So chin up, tailbone up. And I'm just allowing a few seconds in each position. So not a very long time, but just a long enough time to really push through my hands on the floor here and elongate everything in my upper back to stretch. The other one from here I usually go directly into is threading the needle. And this is to gain some more range of motion through here, which you can see I'm pretty limited right now. So hopefully this will open me up a little bit. So from here, I'm just gonna reach my hand down and try and touch my shoulder to the ground. Take a couple of breaths. And from here, try and reach up and look up at my hand. Everybody's ranges of motion is really different. Some people are limited. Some people are hyper flexible. These are just movements that work really well for me. And then I'll switch the other side. Let's see where we're at here. That has pretty good. Not bad. So from here, allowing my shoulder to touch, take a couple of breaths. Really just to let your body actually be okay with being in this position. And then following the hand all the way up the best you can. I'll do one more. This is a great way to get through your hips too, if you can. Okay, the last warm-up I want to go over is pretty much for your arms, your forearms, chest. A lot of us powerlifters suffer with tendinitis, and I'm one of those too. And so this is something that even when tendinitis isn't totally flared up, I try to be really mindful and stretch these things out every single time, because the second you stop, that's when it comes back to bite you. So these movements have been really helpful for me through, I get tendinitis typically on the outside of my elbows really bad, sometimes on the inside. But one that's really helped me is finding a spot on the wall. And you're gonna, about shoulder height, plant that hand on the wall from here. And it may not even go flat to the wall. I've had that happen before when you're so bound up through here, where just like touching that palm flat to the wall is really painful or really tight. So even if you just start to your best ability to try to get your hand down to the wall, that's a good starting point, just holding it here. If you can advance this movement from here, do. And how you do that is by slowly pivoting your body away from that stationary position. So now I'm letting my pecs get stretched out, my shoulders, my bicep, and it goes right into my forearm and hands. And again, I'll just stay right here and take some deep breaths and just try to relax the best I can. The better you can kind of do some slow breathing in these stretching movements, especially when they're tight, the better your body has the ability to kind of relax and accept what you're doing is a positive thing. So from here, actually, after I've kind of pivoted as far as I can, I'll flip my hand over and go flat side here. And this is gonna get the opposite side. And just kind of hold it from here. After I do the right side, I'll repeat it on the left. Same thing, holding here, pivoting out, flipping the hand over. And then the other one I like to do immediately afterwards is then put my hands flat onto a tabletop, box, bench, whatever, and just kind of lean forward into that position. And this is just gonna stretch everything out even further through my forearms, extensors and flexors, elbows, all the good stuff. Some people may not be able to do this. That's okay. The idea to if this is too much of a range of emotion for you, if just getting your hands flat down here is good, that's pretty good. We're just trying to increase the range of motion that you have, that you might be limited on. Okay, from here, same thing, I'm gonna flip my hands over. This is the one that's really hard for me to stretch. And so then I'll just kind of lean backwards and try to keep my hands pushing down into the box. Come out of it a little bit, and then go back in and try and get a little bit more range of motion. And from there, pretty loose, ready to go. Actually, my right arm feels super good now.